What's up everybody, Arrg the Pirate here, and today I'm gonna go over Elo and why it should matter to you, but not in the sense of rank. It should matter to you in the sense of using it as a tool to improve your game. Now, the Elo or MMR is a ranking system that is within MOBAs, and how you can look this up is by going to a website, Agora.gg, logging in, and you can look at your individual Elo, see the Elos of the different heroes you play with, and, you know, kind of look at leaderboards, things like that. Now, this is the homepage of Agora.gg. This is what you will go when you see this website, and if you see at the top right corner there is a sign in button, and what you do is you log in with your Epic account and kind of link the Paragon with this, and it will show your individual stats. Now, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description so you can kind of see your Agora score, or this is Elo, it's MMR, this is the ranking systems that MOBAs typically use, but MOBAs typically have ranking systems built into their games so you can get solid numbers. We don't have solid numbers within Paragon right now, and that's very unfortunate, but we definitely can use these numbers and use the individual stats for the heroes that we play to kind of get a better grasp on, you know, how we can improve ourselves. Now, once you log in, you'll come to a screen something like this, and this has, you know, there's a ton of information. I'm going to kind of go through each of it individually. This is the account that I'm currently playing on, the new account that I made when I got the PC, everything like that. You can see I've got my win-loss rate, which I've got 37 and 11, and my KD, and you can see that assists are figured into the KD, but none of that really matters when it comes to how your score or how your rank goes up and down. Now, let's take a look at my current Elo. Now, this is the account that I'm currently using, and I'm 1394. I'm ranked 9,758, and I'm in almost the top 4% of players. So this Elo is really just a general guide as to kind of an idea of around the skill base you're currently at, but you know, these numbers are constantly fluctuating and changing. If you play solo queue, if you're in teams a lot, you know, those type of things are all huge factors when it comes to this. The Agora GG Elo or ranking system is definitely not perfect, and we're about to see a huge example or a huge flaw with this system coming up. So let's kind of get into that. Now, getting into how the ranking works, you can see all the green says victory, and I go up between 6 and typically 8 Elo every time I get a victory. And then when you lose or defeat, which is in red, you can see that Richter match, I go down Elo. So it doesn't matter how good or bad you do, you go up or down based on victories or losses. And you can see I have that Iggy game from the bottom, or the second one up. That Iggy game, I'm 0-3 and 4, which is not very good, but we ended up winning that, so I went up in Elo. Now you can see the defeat we had with that Richter game, that 2-10 and 4, which I'm going to break that down. We had a DC, it was terrible, but you can see it does not matter about any circumstances. If you win, you go up. If you lose, you go down. Doesn't matter anything else. How good you do is the tool that I'm saying is important, but winning and losing, it doesn't really matter. So let's get into this a little bit further. You can actually break down the individual matches by clicking on the button that I'm going to put a big red arrow right there. By clicking on that button, you can bring out the individual matches. Now, that was that Richter match that I lost, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now, these are the stats that can really be used to improve your gameplay. As you can see, this is the match that our Durango never even left base and DC'd right away, so, you know, it was a 4v5 match, and you're typically going to lose those, especially with our team comp, but besides that, you can use these stats to improve your gameplay. Now, besides Elo, besides KD, those stats don't matter. What matters is hero damage, tower damage, jungle damage, and minion damage. Now, you can see I've got 17k damage on heroes, which is decent, but as a support, I'm not going to do a whole lot of damage to heroes. I'm going to set people up for kills. And, you know, we were kind of limited because we didn't have an ADC, but besides that, if you actually look at our team's damage to heroes compared to the enemy's team to damage to heroes, we have substantially more, but, you know, we lost the match. Now, if you look at tower damage, you can see Kallari has almost 0 tower damage, and this is kind of an issue. You definitely want the jungler to help out with towers, especially since Kallari's one of the hardest hitting tower damage heroes on the team. You know, she needs to help out with towers when she can. Now, another stat that's pretty important is the jungle damage. You can see I've got almost no jungle damage. Our Iggy has almost no jungle damage. That's probably from taking buffs, things like that. But Kallari and Quang both have a lot of jungle damage. So that means both of them were spending a lot of time in the jungle. And you really don't want to see that, especially since we were already at a disadvantage. Instead of them focusing on laning and pushing objectives, they were taking, you know, spending a lot of time in the jungle. And that's a bit of an issue. Of course, this is not the best match to compare, but I wanted to definitely show this match because, you know, we were at that disadvantage. And lastly, you can see minion damage, and minion damage is pretty key. Now, these are laning minions, so you can see Kallari did, you know, pretty small amount of lane damage. She mostly spent most of her time killing heroes and in the jungle, which, as a jungler, that's typically what you want to see, but being at this disadvantaged map, you would like her to be more in lane. And, you know, overall, you can see the totals. Now, I don't really worry about the totals. The totals are just, you know, add them all together, which is meh. But if you look at the enemy team, you can see, without even looking at what the heroes are, you can clearly see who the jungler is by the amount of damage that they do in the jungle, and that's Kallari. You know, Kallari's quite a bit ahead of their ADC, which apparently their ADC was taking quite a bit of jungle, but, you know, that's not a real issue. And then minion damage, you can really see their ADC was focusing on laning minions, with more than double of anybody else's laning minion damage. As well as you can see hero damage, they're all pretty even. You know, Narbash has a decent amount. Everybody's got a decent amount of damage, but, you know, that's really because, you know, you can see their assist and things like that. They were working as a much better team, you know, because we were at that disadvantage. But, you know, again, we're not too worried about that. But you can use these stats to improve your gameplay. For example, if you look at their Shimbi, she did 0 tower damage, which, as Shimbi, you know, she doesn't do that much, but she should be helping. She should have at least a little bit of tower damage. And, you know, these are stats that can be used to improve your hero, and they have nothing to do with Elo. Alright, the next stats that you can look up through Agora.gg are your hero kind of stats. You can see what heroes you do well with, what heroes you do bad with. If you can see, I've got pretty much a solid win rate on most heroes except Durango. Durango, I've played 5 games and I've lost 3 with him. And that doesn't mean I'm doing bad with Durango. That means we are losing the matches that I'm playing with him. I might have flawless games of, you know, 20 kills, but if we lose the match, I'm still going, you know, it's still going to reflect poorly on me. And you really have to work as a team when it comes to getting your Elo up. It is about securing the victory and securing objectives. It has nothing to do with getting kills, and that is, you know, reflected on this. I've got, what was it, 11 losses, and if you add them up, hey, Durango's my worst hero, and that might be because I'm bad with him, or it might be because I'm just in bad teams, or, you know, people DC or whatever. So you can actually use these stats and click on these individual heroes to, you know, kind of dig into them deeper, see what your KD is, see if you're dying too much, see if you're doing enough damage, those type of things. And, you know, this information is critical when you're trying to improve your game. Now the last bit of information we can look at is kind of this middle tab. We can see our win-loss, we can see our KDA, and these are throughout all your heroes. So on this new account, I've currently got 37 wins and 11 losses. I'm at a 77% win rate, which that does not mean my ELO's going up. That means I've just got more wins than losses. KD is the exact same way. It has nothing to do with, me being great. It has everything to do with if you're winning or losing overall matches. That's how you get your ELO higher. And beside that, you can see the summary of your last 20 games. In the last 20 games I've played, I've won 16 and lost 4. I've gone up 75 total ELO points, and I've got a KD of 2.63 out of those last games, and that does include assists. So these are key things to note. Just when you're trying to improve yourself, you can just look at this and go, hey man, I'm dying too much. And this also leads to another issue. If you're playing someone as like a support, if you're playing a Narbash or a Richter, and you peel for a hero and end up going down for that hero, it doesn't track, hey, you sacrificed yourself to keep your ADC alive. It doesn't track those type of things. It is, a dumb number. You get 1 death because you died. It doesn't matter if you made a great play or not. You got a death because, you killed yourself, basically. And that's kind of an issue, but it does not reflect in the overall ELO number. Now, before I wrap this video up, I want to explain why the actual ELO numbers don't really matter. You can use them as a tool, but they don't really matter. And I am a perfect example of that. I've got several accounts. I've got my main account that's not Arrg the Pirate. That was whenever I used to play on a team and, we were hyper competitive. I've got my first Arrg the Pirate account. Whenever I stepped away from the competitive side of Paragon, I started getting into solo queues, things like that. And, I wanted to make a new account, and because playing in that real high rank without having a solid team, it's very, very difficult. And then when I started YouTube and playing with my subs, that account was fairly high. It was, I want to say, low plat. And I'm playing, the first sub I ever played with was ranked 960, which is the lowest rank I've ever seen. And he's going against people that were mid-gold, and, he's in the 900s. So I went, okay, I've got to make a new account. And after I made that new account, that account ended up getting to, I believe, low plat or very high gold. And again, I was playing with, mid-silver players, so I had to do the same thing. And this is the last account that I made. And I'm not going to do that again. It's, with the new deck system, things like that, it's so hard to do that, get all the cards, everything like that. It's just a huge pain. So I'm just going to stick with this, and if we have a bunch of losses, hey, I'll be able to talk about them. But that's why the Elo doesn't matter. And then you saw that Richter, that Richter game where we had the DC. That match should not have counted. We also have issues where, 4 or 5 stacks will go against, a handful of solo people. And, situations like that. And typically, if you're in a 5-stack, you're going to be able to beat a team of solo players just because your communication is better. Even if y'all struggle at communicating, you can just say, hey man, I think they're coming to me, can I get some help? Something like that. Even if you don't have plays set up, by simply being able to communicate quickly, you're at a huge advantage. And it does not consider things with this current Agora GG Elo scoring system. So that is why the Elo scores do not matter. But definitely log in. Even make your profile private. I typically have all mine private because, it's private information. And you can use that information to improve your gameplay. You can see, Durango, I clearly struggle with Durango. I'm 2 and 3 with him. I can go into his character and see what I need to improve on. Am I not getting enough minion kills? Am I not, am I taking the jungle too much? Am I not doing enough hero damage? I can compare all that stuff to my other heroes and really build upon that. So, Elo is really not that big of a deal, guys, but it is the only ranking system we currently have. And, typically there are big jumps. If you're a gold, if you're a mid-gold player and you're going against low platinum players, typically they either have a lot more experience than you, or, they might be slightly more skilled than you. But that is one way you grow as a hero. Play against people that are skilled. You want to be at a disadvantage so you can grow, because the next time you face them, you'll be able to, beat them. You'll be stronger than they are. And that's key. That is a huge, huge thing. And knowing those type of things is just a great advantage, guys. So I highly recommend going and checking out agora.gg, logging in and just looking over your information. Well, thanks a lot, guys. If you did enjoy this video and did enjoy this breakdown, show me some love. Leave me a comment, think about subscribing, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.